The government of Mali and Algeria are going at each other. Here's Mali, here's Algeria. Malians are majority sub-Saharan African, so they probably look brown or dark or black. Algerians, in most cases, are Arab-looking, Berbers, okay? They look a little bit different, even though you can still find some Algerians that are dark. Report says that many Algerians, matter of fact, many Africans from the north don't perceive themselves as African. They perceive themselves more like Arabs than Africans. That's just to say. Reports, I'm not saying. Report says, you can double check that for yourself, that many people in the northern side of Africa perceive themselves as Arabs, less like Africans. Anyway, now, if they perceive themselves as Arabs, and Malians are supposed to be Africans, should we support Mali even if Mali is wrong in the situation? Question mark. I'm not saying anybody's right, anybody's wrong. I'm just setting the basis so we can go from a neutral perspective. Let's go. The government of Mali went to the United Nations to accuse Algeria. Algeria did the same. They both sent letters to warn the Security Council of what their neighbors are doing to their country. The government of Mali condemned in the strongest term the destruction of a Malian army drone on Malian territory, following a premeditated hostile action by the Algerian regime. Mali has filed a complaint with the United Nations Security Council after the destruction of one of its military drones near the Algerian border. Following this, the ambassadors of both countries were recalled, airspace closed, an accusation issued in press release. These postures are often violent, sometimes threatening, and we've learned that Bamako and Alger have each appealed to the United Nations Security Council without actually asking for any concrete action. For context, in simple English, a Malian drone that was tracking terrorists was going very close to Algeria. You see the map? Mali is right next to Algeria, their neighbors. Now, apparently, the terrorists that were being chased that night were very close to Algeria. And most of these terrorists are Arab-looking terrorists. And like I said earlier, in Algeria, you find a lot of people that are Arab-looking. And in Mali, you find a lot of people that are dark-looking. Not to say that you won't find Arab-looking people in Mali. There are. And dark people looking in Algeria. There are. However, these people were running away in that side. And as they got there, the Malian drone saw them and was about to destroy. And at that specific time, Algeria destroyed the drone using missiles, Sol Air, and shattering it down. Algeria has accused Mali of violating its airspace. And they say it's not the first time. This is the third time they do it. That's why they shot the drone down. Algeria said the drone went 2 kilometers inside their territory. That's why they shot it. Mali said it's a lie. Mali said Algeria shot their drone 6.5 kilometers inside Mali. Now, who's telling the truth? The Malian government asked Algeria to provide data showing that the drone was indeed in their territory. And 72 hours later, they made a speech saying that Algeria has not responded to them. 72 hours later, after they asked for data, confirming their version of the story. I mean, clearly, if somebody asks you for data for doing wrong, and you know you did right, what you do is you give them the data, right? Now, the Malian government said they did not receive any data. All they received was silence treatment. That's why they confirmed that this was premeditatedly done by Algeria in order to protect those Arab-looking terrorists that are looming around Mali. Now, who are these people? These people are Malians, but they want to cut a part of Mali and create their own countries. They look different. They don't want anything to do with the Malian government, with the black people. They want to create their own state. However, many people believe because they look Arab, they are supported by Algeria. Is this correct or not? Question mark. Mali accuses Algeria of destroying their drone that was trying to do its job by attacking the enemies of their country.
The transitional government regrets to inform the public that during the night of 31st March to 1st April 2025, a drone belonging to the Armed and Security Forces of the Republic of Mali, registration number TZ98D, crashed on national territory at Tinzawatan, Abe Bara Circle, Kidal region.
Now, Algeria gave them silent treatment. Now, a few days later, Algeria responded that we actually provided the data on a website allocated to the Ministry of Defense. So if you want any of the data, go check the website, you will see the data. Who's telling the truth between the two of them? Question mark. Now, when that occurred, Mali recalled its ambassador, saying, come back. And they closed the airspace. And in the same token, Algeria also closed the airspace. So let me just remind you, fellas, okay? I know we're going very fast. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Remember them? Yeah, these are the three countries that live in the Confederation. So they represent one country. So if one is in trouble, all of them go in trouble. That's naturally what it's all about. Now, in this situation, we got something very interesting because we're not 100% sure whether Niger will fight next to Mali should Mali get in trouble with Alger. Why? Because remember, Niger's government was overthrown by the military people. And when the military government got into power, ECOWAS, remember ECOWAS? ECOWAS are these countries, Western African countries that come together to help each other. They don't really help each other, but yeah, whatever. Now, ECOWAS wanted to overthrow the military government that just overthrew Mohamed Bazoum. Remember? These guys overthrew Mohamed Bazoum. They took power. Then ECOWAS, you see ECOWAS preparing themselves to go and overthrow the newer government because they wanted to reinstall Mohamed Bazoum. They wanted to send a message saying we do not accept coups in Africa. They just wanted to protect Mohamed Bazoum because they stole together. That's what it was.
Present here today have all committed elements. They have committed their own equipment. They have committed their own resources to undertake this mission. So I tell you, we are ready to go anytime the order is given. The D-Day is also decided.
At that moment, when all these black people countries were coming together to go attack another black people, this country here, Algeria, was one of the countries that say, no, don't do that. We don't think this is necessary. You shouldn't go there and destroy. Let's find diplomatic ways of resolving this. Okay? It didn't go. Then eventually Mali and Burkina Faso also say, if you do go, you know what? You're going to be declaring war against us because we're going to get involved. We're all going to get dirty.
Transitional governments of Burkina Faso and Mali express their fraternal solidarity and that of the people of Burkina Faso and Mali to the brotherly people of Niger, who have decided to take their destiny into their own hands and assume before history the completeness of their sovereignty. Warn that any military intervention against Niger would simulate a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat, warn that any military intervention against Niger would simulate a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat for the last time, warn that any military intervention against Niger would simulate a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali.
And they stopped. So that was one good move from Alger toward Niger. Again, Niger's got interest in Algeria. The Prime Minister of Niger in August 2024 went to Algeria to go and discuss possible business, and it was very successful. Then later on, the Nigerian Minister of Petrol, of Oil, went to Alger in February 2025 to discuss possibilities of working together. Then a company named Sonatra went to Niger to inspect how to build the pipeline. They were very happy to build the pipeline linking Niger from Niger all the way to Alger, which is Algeria, and to the world. Let me remind you here, Niger is a country inside the land. Look, you see, they don't have the sea. The sea is very necessary for countries. Countries need to be next to the sea so they can import and export. It's cheaper than bringing things through airplanes. You know, in airplanes, you can only bring so much and you can only export so much and it costs expensive. But through water is easy. You can ship whatever the hell you want, you know, even women from Thailand, you can, I'm just kidding. You can do all that stuff. Okay? Niger doesn't have any border to the sea. And all these African-looking countries, my brother, they all closed their border to Niger because Niger refused to play the game of helping the colonialists. All these countries of ECOWAS helped the colonialists. Niger said, we're not interested. Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Now, these countries refused to allow Niger to use the sea, the port. Algeria said, you can use our port for your petrol. So they have a big deal. Now, will Niger forfeit that to help Mali? Morally, he should, right? Because they are Confederation. But actively, will he do it? Question mark. Now, my other question is this. Just because Alger spoke on the favor of Niger, does it mean Alger is not hostile to Mali? Question mark. Can Alger want to have business with Niger and say, F to Mali? Possible. Mali is not backing down against Algeria. We know Algeria has a very strong military. They have equipment. They have money. They're one of the strongest military in Africa. They're actually a very good friend of Russia. They bought many equipment coming from Russia, from radars, airplanes, and many things. So they're strong. But will they be able to defend the three countries if they come together? Question mark. Now, another thing we need to talk about. The Prime Minister of France went to Algeria to go and have a discussion. Jean-Noël Barrot went to engage in a strategic dialogue about the Sahel in Algeria. Sahel has these countries here, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Now, the French who were just kicked away less than a year ago, went to Algeria to discuss on how to deal with the Sahel. What does this mean for everybody? Mali accusing Algeria at the Security Council in the United Nations. What does this mean? Is this a warning? Algeria also accusing Mali of doing the same and lying and manipulation. Will these two go to war? Do you think if somebody really want to go to war, he's going to go to accuse you? Or people accuse because they feel like they're not strong enough to fight? You must remember that not everybody in Northern Africa who look Arabs actually do not perceive themselves as Africans. There are many people that look Arabs in Northern Africa that perceive themselves as African and not Arab. God bless.